Beautiful day, Bravehearts. I'm Dr. Sage Wolf, and today you are on with Be Brave. I have two wonderful gentlemen with me, Jake and Brent, and this is part 7 out of an 8-part series. Last week, we weren't able to come on, you guys, and so we played part 1, which kind of goes over like the history of the Pure Wave honey and the Pure Wave cell. But today we actually want to go over what is the Pure Wave cell and how it can benefit your life, and how, like, the science behind it, and their actually crystalline structure of what they built. It's like a building, and they're going to go in and they're going to show you the structure of what's inside and how these Pure Wave cells are created and how that frequency can benefit from your foods to your body to the frequencies around your environment. It's going to be a whole structure today, and so welcome to Be Brave Worldwide, Bravehearts. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Welcome to part 7. How you guys doing today, gentlemen?
Excellent, Sage. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Really
Hi, Braveheart Nation.
Really good. Good to be back. Sorry we missed you last week.
Last week, I do also apologize for not being on, but you had an opportunity. Hopefully you were on, or you saw the first episode of this series where we really went back into the ancient wisdom of sacred geometry and frequency and how it plays a role really in everything that we do in life. And that is a perfect segue into what we're talking about today with the Pure Wave cell and the history and the wisdom for which created the Pure Wave cell. We would like to share with you the chrysalis geodesic sphere. And Brent, while I pull this up, why don't you, since it was actually your vision, your inspiration to invest, build, design this amazing structure on your property, if you can just give us a little bit of a framework of what in the world got you to take out the beautiful pool and build this amazing structure, which I will now start to pull up, and we'll have some fun. And then we're going to get into how this cell, the Pure Wave cell, actually mitigates pathogens, neutralizes pathogens. We're going to talk about the testing we did, the gut health, and some more practical applications of the cell. But first, I think it's always important to learn where this came from, where it came from. So Brent, I'm going to share a screen, but go ahead and take it away and talk to us about what in the world and how in the world did this come into structure and building. And I think the story is really fascinating and important for people to understand the value and the wisdom within this technology.
Well, yeah, no, that's no, and I think it's really important now. This is where it gets to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to tell the audience a little entertaining story here. Is that I was because I was so wrapped up in frequencies, whether countering frequencies, good frequencies, bad frequencies. It occurred like it all of a sudden was coming to me as like, okay, I need a space, I need something that I can differentiate these frequencies and figure out how to know what they're really doing. So I thought, well, what I need what's called a neutral environment, somewhere that's like, the eye of the storm, neutral, that there's no cell phones working in it, no EMFs of bad can get in. And I thought, well, geez, I don't know how to do that. How can I go ahead and how can I deal with something, and even what would it look like, right? Like how would I deal with this? So that this is this would be about 12, 13 years ago. And I was straining to figure out how I would do this, how I would get this neutral environment, what it would look like, how I'd utilize it. So I had, where Jake is showing now, I had a situation where, just take it back, Jake, for a second. Just go back. Yeah, and I'll tell you when it goes. So that whole area was on, I had a property there where the property is that I had some acreage, and there was a swimming pool that was actually there, right, where this is, where you're looking at now. And so I was going, geez, can I do this here? So the first thing I did is I got like, you've heard of water witchers. But I actually got an energy witcher, one of the best ones out of searching out of Southern Ontario. And I wanted to find out if this area was even conducive for doing what I wanted to do. And so I am the third owner of this house here. And the original owner that built it, the history on it, which I'll tie to, was there was something serious that happened here. So anyway, I get this report back. I get a call back from the Witcher, Peter. His name is Peter Honor, and he said, "Hey, I've checked out your property, and I've come there, and then I've taken the pictures. I've done all this, and I've gone away." And he said, "There's sort of something bothering me, right?" And I said, well, Peter, is this like a place where the ley lines aren't working? And he said, no. He said he said there's no problem. There's no issue with that. He said I have another issue. There's some energy, something going on there, right where the pool was, right? And I was like, well, what do you mean? I'm not understanding. He says I don't know. I don't get it. Well, what I finally thought of is that the first owner's wife had been in Florida, had a major stroke, and came home and was an invalid. She was a very beautiful, proud woman and stuff. And she had ended her life in the pool. She had committed suicide in the pool. When I told him, I said, that's it. He said, that's what I was, so I didn't even know that had, any connection. And so he said, that's fine. That clearly, he says, more for me, but he said, you go ahead. It's good ley lines and DC current. So then that's where I started. But then it was like, okay. And so it was the hardest thing I ever did was I used over 100 different people from construction. This geodesic sphere, it's not a dome, it's a sphere. It works. It's got a skin on it that won't allow any frequencies in. I had to figure out, it was 9 steps up to it to get in. And I had to do an entrance to an entrance. So what you're looking at now is the door entrance into it. And then go to the next slide, Jake. So you can see now the side here. Now you can see the geometry right here that's in the building itself, which is a frequency in itself, but it needed to complete itself. That's why it's different than a dome. So it was so difficult to do it and get this structure. And that's a rubberized material that's over there. And underlining has a screening that blocks out. And so it's really in there we're going to show you, but the front part that looks like an igloo going in, that's just to get you in there. I needed an entrance point to get myself in there. And then I had to mimic the outside to the inside. And then I set up special sound frequencies and crystals, which we'll go through. But it would take 3 shows to go through what I went through to get it right. But this is what ended up it looking like and doing. And so now you're seeing the outside. We'll go to see if we can get you. Yeah. So now we've come through to the inside. So here you see on the floor is what I was talking about in the previous episode. So here now you have a bird's eye view of what is really known as the star tetrahedron. Some people call it the flower of light, but its technical term is the star tetrahedron. So each one of these points that you see crystallized, that has an inverted pyramid. It's a pyramid that's inverted. So the bottom of the pyramid is what you're looking at, and the point goes down. And it was made out of a quartz crystal and glass combination because I couldn't get the pure crystal. And so what that was done, that was difficult in itself to get these 13, right? So if you can see, you've got 12 crystals, and then the 13th is in the center. Now, coincidentally, you had 12 disciples, and of course, Jesus was the 13th. This is by no coincidence. It's all through religions. It's all through everything. But this is now we're going to tell you what it really means. So there you're looking at it. So if you can do something with me, all of you out there, follow with me. If you can draw in your mind's eye, take every one of those crystals, draw a line up 4 feet in the air, and then go below the floor 4 feet and have them all join each other, right? So just each point, so this point here going over to that point here and so forth. And what you're going to find out, what you're really looking at is a 2-dimensional object of the atom itself. That is the atom, where you've got your electrons going around. This is the full principle of that, which leads into the flower of life, right? So what this was done, this is an actual inlay that was put in, and each crystal, so that I could push frequencies through these crystals, whether it be light or sound, and I could start to alter what's going on inside this sphere. And because I blocked out all the influences, I didn't have any influences with the frequency, so they were pure. So this is what I wanted to get across to everybody, but you wouldn't be able to believe it without seeing it, right? So that's how important that this geometry is. It's incredible, and it's built right into the pure wave cell. So when we were testing in here, we were able to then add the magnetism to it, which is the magnets that we work with off the Chrysalis E and the pure wave cell. And then I could manipulate those frequencies with the magnetism. The magnetism is like the glue that formulates it. And I could draw different frequencies that I wanted to do through there. So really important to understand what you're looking at. If I take that into 3D, connect all the dots, you're looking at the construct of the atom itself, which I'm going to, we'll talk about it over again. I can't emphasize enough. Every single thing living and non-living on this planet, in this solar system, in this galaxy, is made of the same material, those atoms. The only difference is the way they frequency is why we have trillions of different things that exist, right? So you need to understand this in quantum physics. When we say that we're all made of the same stuff and we're all one, that's a true statement because we're all made of the same building blocks. It's only when we alter frequencies at a cellular level or a construct level that we change things. So I just want you to understand that's why that's so important. That's why if you look in the center, it's all 12s. We have 12 months. Look at your watch, 12 disciples. Right? Everything is in 12s. Why? You think that was by coincidence? It's because of this. This is where it comes from, right? The astrological, if you're into astrology, there's 12 signs. If you're into Chinese astrology, there's 12 signs. So this is by far is locked in. There's no haphazard or there's no random to this. Okay. So next, what you got there, Jake? What next? Okay. So now we're going inside, right? So you can say, Jake, I think that's Lisa and Case, right?
That's Lisa, and my oldest, who is now, he's 11. So he was probably, a year and a half there, maybe? And yeah, I'll never forget his experience in there. And as you can notice, in this picture, it's blue light, and there was the whole full spectrum lighting. So there was also light therapy that was inside, as well as sound, as well as the geomagnetic frequency of the Chrysalis E energizer, the Chrysalis Energizer instrument, which we've shown pictures of, and it's the table inside the room. Let me, there we are.
Yeah. So
here's
there
a
we
video.
go. There, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry, just before you started. So what we did for years, we started out this way. I had all kinds of people, friends, families, and of course, associates of Jake and I and partners coming here. And we were experimenting with a lot of different things. So you can see there's other people that were there. We'd always have maybe 8 people at a time in there. We had specific chairs. This light frequency, it's really important for you to understand that is in fiber optics. It absolutely has no bad EMFs. It's all driven through those quartz and then over to the side under quartz. So I could manipulate how I wanted frequencies and sounds to work, and we could test it then. So what you're really witnessing now is us testing along with the Chrysalis E, which inside that box, we have magnets that are moving at 6,000 RPMs that are going on right there. And then I'll alter those frequencies and seeing how that's affecting cells. So we did a lot of people study to get what that was doing before I solidified it down into what we were going to do as far as with that cell, right? And you remember, Jake, how many people and things and it was so interesting. We'd get some people coming in And they would, for no reason, all of a sudden start, laughing hysterically and stuff without realizing what they were doing or what was happening. We had so many different experiences from people experiencing it in there. And that's some of the sounding, but also you can see in there by going through what Jake's doing right there, Jake, is you can see that, that the inside also is not smooth. It has the geometry built right into the walls. So the frequencies are working off the building itself, right? So, and that was important. I also had directional perfect compasses in there so that I could understand in which way we wanted to face and which way we wanted to. So there was the point being is we really wanted to show everybody the exhaustion that we went through in studies to make sure that we understood that these were working and how they affected people on a cellular level, right? And then we also had animals, and we did that. We did studies, and then started heading into food, right? So this was the facility that allowed us, and there's nothing like this in the entire world. So this building you're looking at, inside and out, is one of a kind. I didn't model it after something. So that's what I wanted to let everybody know. I didn't go and say, okay, there's that, and then brought it. That was a true creation that almost, took 3 years of my life off me. It was so difficult to do. And I don't want to get into all the particulars of that, but I literally had the sound people that do huge sound for groups like Rush and Pink Floyd. They came and did the sound. The lighting systems were done with people that only understood how to do fiber optics and things, and it was all customized. So it really was a labor of love, but it was all, without knowing it, leading to something that could benefit us all. But I had to know what it was doing. So we just wanted to let you know that we're not just here to tell you stories. We live it. Jake lives it. His family lives it. I live it. Right. So that was why I thought it was so important for us to be able to show you this. Yeah.
So Brent, thank you so much for taking a trip down memory lane, but I'll never forget. So Case was, I think, around 1, and we came up, had a beautiful time. We slept out there. And maybe Lisa and I came and slept out there in some of the beginning days, but I'll never forget, you took us through the full spectrum of light with a sound therapy, and then you took us into this void where it went pitch black, dark. And when those lights go out in that room, there's no light. There's no light. There's no moonlight. There's no alarm clock light in the side of the room. There's no Himalayan salt lamp it is pitch black. And what it did is take you into this reset mode. And I know this is a little off topic, but I have to share the story because it was absolutely phenomenal. We were going to do it, and my wife Lisa there and I were saying, well, will this scare Case, right? I mean, going pitch black for a 1-year-old out of the blue from this beautiful light color of rainbow light could be a little alarming. Well, what happened was Lisa was holding him there, and this is actually the moment. And she said he got out when it went dark, and then he settled in. He settled in, and his body released and reset. And no ounce of fear, no cry, no squeamish or squeamish type reaction. And it was just amazing how this right here. And I used to go up to visit you, Brent, when I needed to reset or create a new vision or mission or action plan in my mind for my life, for the family. And it was really transformative and something that was really special for us to share with you guys. And at the very least, you're able to see not only where this comes from, but learn a little bit more about Brent Knutson and Jake Cunningham. We want you guys to understand where we're coming from, where we are all coming from, so that you really understand what these products are and how magical they are in your life. And so let me just go through here. if there's any more pictures that you want me to capture.
Just before that, Jake. Yeah, I want to do that because I wanted to say something because this is I think people would find this incredibly interesting because it was our discoveries as that, something that I didn't know would happen, right? So literally, like as I said, I wanted to have an environment that was like this neutral, eye of the storm, most peaceful. I had high-end meditators come into that building saying that they were getting in minutes to meditation points that would take them hours because there's no interference and there's no distraction, right? So when you go in there, the feeling when you're talking about case, the feeling in there is radically different because for the first time in a lot of your lives, you have absolutely nothing else touching you. All these invisible forces that touch you, and they are invisible every day, is not happening in there. It's like when you go into that pristine forest and all that energy around you, but there's not any bad energy. That's why people find such peace there, or when you go into that meditating. So I started to get this feedback from everybody. Well, I felt it myself, and Jake was just describing Case feeling it, and that's why. But that the other thing that what I found truly because I was interested, I would go in there by myself when I was perplexed or I was looking for an answer, especially with some of these things with the cell. And I was looking for, like, I couldn't figure it out, right? I was looking for some kind of an answer. And I could go in there, and it wouldn't happen all the time. I could go in there and sit in that chair in the center of that star tetrahedron. And I would focus on what I was looking for. Focus. And then at certain times, I got a shiver from the bottom of my spine up to my head, would just be like that, right? And what that was is like a phone call going out. The phone call went out, and that exact thing would come to me within days, either by a phone call, a person calling me something, or I would pick it up or it would be presented to me. So that's true manifestation, but I do believe it's because all the distractions are gone and then I could focus. We all can do it. Everybody listening can do it. It's just that we're always so distracted or bombarded that we can't get to that place. So that really excited me. And then that's when I started using it more and more and more. And I used it that way. I put an inscription on the back door of the Flower of Life going into the building that said, attention to intention. People used to ask me like, well, what do you do in there? What kind of stuff do you do? Well, it's not an entertainment place. So I'd say to them, well, what's your intention? What do you want to do in there? Right. And that was a hard question. What did they want to do? And so I said, as soon as you can get laser focused on what you're intending and want, then put all your attention to it in there and watch what happens, right? So that's attention to intention. So I'll leave it at that. And then now we're starting to show at the chrysalis. Yeah, so on the back of that, carved, and I had that personally carved, Flower of Life, is a writing that has called attention to intention, right? So this is do you want to go on chrysalis E?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to jump into the chrysalis E, which will help explain. Go ahead, Brent. Go ahead.
Yeah, this was the early development of it, right? So it's top from the top, where these early boxes, this was my early attempts. That's not the way it looks now. Now it's in a completely different, that's in my living room there that I was playing around with how I was going to, what kind of thing I was going to put around the machine. We show you what the machine looks inside. So this is what I was playing with in those days. This would be about 14 years ago, right? So I was trying to develop where people could use it personally, but it's too elaborate a machine and too expensive for it to go that route. So what I ended up doing is doing all this testing, and this is there's the inside of it, which allows it to move at these incredible speeds. And what I was looking for was to be able to affect the cells at a heavy cellular level. And so each one of these cylinders that are in a tetrahedron pyramid alignment, there's over 310 heavy duty of those same neodymium magnets that are in your pure wave cell. And I spin them at incredible speeds, and the speed changes, I can pinpoint the frequencies that I want that start to affect certain things in insects, in the body, humans, animals, all that kind of thing. All right. So this was the early stages. This was the early stages of getting involved with the cylinders themselves, developing it, finding it was really hard to hold the machine together at high speeds. So I had to work with that. And so once we got those alignments right, and then I got set up that I could change speeds. Then this now inside in the cylinder, there's a composite. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, there's a composite inside in 3D. So it's the same as your PureWave cell, only it's in 3 dimensions all through that cell. So we're using the exact same thing as the PureWave cell, only we're multiply using it and at high speeds. So this is incredibly healing. The healing power of this is without a doubt is incredible, is absolutely incredible. And it charges up the PureWave cells and the PureWave honey. So when we say we treat the PureWave honey with frequency, that's the way the machine looks now. That was that we went from those wood ones to the future development, and that's the way. And that's what we use commercially now to treat the honey. So when you go to our honey video, you'll actually see that treats the honey. So when you're buying our honey, it's like no other honey in the world, right? So when you go to Dr. Detox and you're getting this honey, that's why it's so different. Not only is it coming from the hives that are using PureWave cells with our beekeepers, but then it's treated, and it is without a doubt is the best honey in the world. We feel there's just nothing else that compares. Nobody does what we do. So now we're showing you the inside of the PureWave cell on the early development. So these are with the square early development. Now we've gone to the hexagon, but the inside is identical. So that's what you look like inside. That is where the magnets are, and they have to be exact. They have to be exact to get the frequency that will then remove pathogens from food, will help with circulation and all the things that we say the PureWave cell does. So we're really drilling down for you guys into where this came from. This was not just some kind of haphazard thing that we sort of threw out there and that we're touting and that we don't live it. This was a lot was put into this, like our lives, right? So we thought it was only fair to take some time and really show you, and we can do more of it in the future because we're just touching on it, as to what this is that you're really, really looking at with the honey and the PureWave cell, right, Jake?
No, thank you, Brent. And I want to share a clip right now because we took it down back to where, again, this cell came from, learning about a little bit about our past, a little bit about the geodesic sphere and what that came from. But let's learn about how it's actually affecting us today. Let's look at specifically how it's helping remove and really neutralize is the right term, the different pathogens, but also it was actually causing some enhanced and stimulation and growth of certain good frequency, like brewer's yeast, which is actually loaded and positive and good for you. So what I want to do now, Brent, is I have it queued up. This video here, everybody, I just want to share with you. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go to, this is docofdetox.com, and I'll show you later. If you go to the past episodes, you can find this in the library. In the library, you can look up the Be Brave show. This has different science and the owner's manual, different elements like the research study, which we're going to get into now. But I wanted to cue this up so that people can kind of just get a visual, and then let's talk about each one of these pathogens and the importance and the value of the PureWave cell 5 minutes under the food can do for you. So listen, I'm just going to play a few minutes of this, not a lot, just at the beginning here. And let's do this here.
Electric array of 12 high-intensity magnets that are encased inside a hard enclosure to create a PureWave cell. The opposing polarities of the magnets create a spiral vortex that emanate outwards in all directions. This spiral pattern can be observed with magnetic viewing film. Liquid ferrofluid placed in a dish on top of the PureWave cell shows the invisible, evenly spaced magnetic lines rising upwards. This is an internal view of the magnets. A PureWave cell can be used to control the growth of pathogens. The vortex suppresses bacterial infestation. Spores grown in a petri dish that were not exposed to the magnet shows a proliferation of fungal growth. A study has been completed at Pathogenia Food Laboratories to determine the efficiency to reduce pathogens in food. Brewer's yeast, E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Listeria were added to meat and fruit and then treated for 5 minutes on the magnetic disc. Ground chicken and raspberries were chosen for inoculation. This study demonstrates 3 forms of Listeria were not reduced in the chicken, but showed almost a 50% reduction in the raspberries. Surprisingly, one form of brewer's yeast grew 50% faster in the meat, while another was reduced a similar amount in the fruit. The various forms of E. coli were eliminated in the raspberries. And all forms of Staphylococcus have been significantly reduced. When you immerse food inside a PureWave, there are many examples of how it can prolong the shelf life. Here, cauliflower remains fresh after several days, while unexposed control samples show signs of food spoilage. Research on honey is carried out here.
So again, this video, we played it in its entirety a few weeks ago. You can go back, go to docofdetox.com and find the PureWave cell video. There's the video on the PureWave honey and then the previous shows. So what I want to do now is just talk about some of those pathogens and how foodborne pathogens today are a cause of a lot of stress in the health, in the gut and the immune system. So let's look at that. First one is the Listeria. And for those of you who don't know what Listeria is, it's a very popular actual foodborne pathogen, but it can survive even refrigeration, things of this nature. And it's commonly caused by eating improperly processed, like deli meats, packaged meats, and unpasteurized milk products, which can be the case. So, can you still hear me, Brent?
Yep. Yep.
I just want to check because, and so this is what is on the dark side of getting this little bug: fever, chills, headache, stiff neck, confusion, loss of balance, convulsion. So we've all had a bout of foodborne illness, right? Food poisoning. And 5 minutes, according to the research, which again is on Doc of Detox. If you scroll up, you can click on the report, or this is information actually. The research study is here, and I'll pull this up actually for everyone. The video explains some of the bacteria count, and this form is what we'll also make sure is uploaded. I don't know, Sage, is it uploaded up here? If not, we'll get that uploaded in your guys' back library. But another one was the brewer's yeast. This was interesting because in the study, brewer's yeast actually in the meat was increased, but is actually decreased in the raspberries. And I don't know exactly what to do is look at, and I researched here because I knew brewer's yeast is used as a nutrient and dense nutrient-based type nutritional supplement. And it's loaded with B vitamins, chromium, selenium, potassium, zinc, iron, magnesium, and it has a lot of health benefits. So it's fascinating, Brent, how it seems to be neutralizing the frequency or pathogens that are harmful, negative, and it's supporting some of the positive ones. And then the last one, of course, is the E. coli or the staph, Staphylococcus bacteria. We don't have to, we don't have to say the effects of this. We all know what it does. Similar symptoms: diarrhea, dehydration, low blood pressure, nausea, vomiting. So the goal is to prevent our bodies from being exposed to this while also raising the vibration. And you brought something up like in the chrysalis building. When the body has the space and environment, and the environment with no distractions or interference, the immunity in the body seems to be programmed to manage when it is exposed to things, mixed with the protection of the cell, mitigating or neutralizing. It's how it supports a lot of the people who are using this for gut health, but on the body or proactively with the food. And so these three areas are exciting. We're exciting for more research, a lot more research coming in regards to the blood, water, and how it works with the water. And we're also getting some other tests done to see how the Pure Wave honey is different and has different enzymes and different differences there. And so that report just is there to back us up in how this supports you and your family in practical use. So before I pass the ball again, how I use this is, one, I'm traveling right now and I have my Pure Wave cell tucked in my bag. And when I have lunch here in a little bit, guess what's going to be on that plate? No one knows what it is. It checks easily with luggage. Someone asks, you could say it's a magnet, because that's ultimately what it is. And that's all they need to really know. If you want to get into discussing what it is and where it came from, that's up to you, but you might be in for a long discussion, of course. But no, so the immune system health, well-being, you guys, as you know, 70+% of this is in the gut, what we consume and what we're exposed to. Not only just immunity, but the gut. And I know Daryl, I've heard Daryl talk about this a lot, and Sage, that a neurotransmitter, serotonin, is actually produced in the gut. That's why they call your gut your second brain. That's why gut health is more than just the physical stomach and intestine, small, large intestine. It connects with your psyche and your emotional health as well. And for all of you out there on your own health journey, and you're working with the holistic natural approach, your practitioner or your own research, it always leads to the gut. The gut is this master system that helps us stay healthy, stay connected, and really stay happy. Serotonin, you guys, is the feel-good hormone. Serotonin is what makes us feel good, and motivated to make the right decisions of our choices, and the discipline, and the sometimes it takes being brave and saying no to the social environment where there's all the treats and sugars and alcohol. You have to feel at a high vibration in order to make these decisions that lead you down the pathway of health. And so the cell plays a role by allowing you protection, but also the environment to heal and to operate the way your body was designed. So I hope that gives a little insight of how this plays a practical role. You using it in the refrigerator, on the counter, when you travel, when you sleep. Pets love it. It's just a really universal instrument. I call it an instrument, not a tool. Instruments play frequency. Tools are used mechanically. We're not mechanical. Yeah. We're talking not Newtonian. We're talking quantum physics here. So it plays to support that. So Brent, I'll pass the ball back to you if you have any comments or any thoughts on that. But I was hoping
I think
that gives some
you
perspective.
covered it. Yeah, You covered it pretty well. Just again, putting it out is that all of you are hearing about so many things and so many things to do with frequency and so forth. Our goal became here with Jake and myself was to be for a lot of people that have a hard time engaging or seeing those frequencies. We were showing you some of the ways we've been showing people how to do that, because Jake was talking serotonin and melatonin. Well, I was developing and changing those with light. So a lot of that light therapy in there was changing serotonin and melatonin. So all of that, I just wanted people to be able to see it and then make it simple. So in other words, how there's complex ways of getting healthy, and then there's simple ways, right? Because some of it takes a lot more work. So we came up with some way just to assist you with other things you're doing and helping out a lot.
We want to know that
going
those
the long run.
simplistic ways, that doesn't stick though, my friend. And that's why the complexity through the magnet is a necessity in a lifestyle, because you can go under all the energy medicine you want. You can go under all the lights you want. You can eat healthy right now, and let's change a little bit of that gut bacteria. But what is the frequency and what is the lifestyle you live? So have you changed your cellular structure over to what that is only accustomed to? So as Jake was saying, like the gut is your second brain, but if we put it into like true logistics, it's your first brain. It's 80% of your immune system. All your gut bacteria, if you change it, you get a dysbiosis in that gut bacteria. That is what is going to be the cascade to set off your thyroid, to set off the hormones, to damage the actual hairlines, because you have all these little attachments on each individual cell. They're like little hairs that hang off of it, and they're hormone receptors. Because each individual cell, some cells need a specific hormone, some need specific nutrients, and it goes back and forth. And so they all, over time, if they get damaged for so long, and that's just not the lifestyle you're living from what you're putting in your mouth. It's the frequencies you're around, it's the environment you live in, and it's the mental state that you hold yourself in. And so if we're constantly changing that back and forth, you can go in to do energy medicine, you can do these frequency and vibrational things. But if we're not going to change that gut bacterium by putting in processed foods, putting in this garbage stuff, where at least even if I am going to eat bad foods, I'm going to let it sit on that pure wave cell. So hopefully I've eliminated some of those negative pathogens before I put it into this pure environment, because then that can cause the cascade of setting me off, because then you're not going to properly produce the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and your endorphins. Not everybody out here, majority of people out there are not getting your daily dose. And that daily dose is those gentle, loving chemicals and hormones feeding us. But no, we live in that fight or flight state, that fear. So we're releasing all this histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol. So the body's never in a parasympathetic state. That's why it's so important that don't just get the pure wave cell for your food. Don't just get it for your house. It's part of a lifestyle. I'm gonna carry it in my purse. I'm gonna travel with it. I'm gonna sleep with it in my bed. I'm gonna sit it on top of my food and my water before I drink that down, just because I want everything that's coming into me to be pure, because no matter what, we live in a pretty toxic environment, so there's going to be things out there that are going to constantly be bombarding you to kind of make you feel a little bit crappier. So why aren't we doing something beneficial on a 24/7 basis that's just like super easy?
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, Sage. And the lifestyle shifts, change, resistance to change is real in all of our lives. We are programmed to create habits. And the addictions of our lifestyles are not easy to break. So when you look at your tools or your lifestyle changes, whether it's a technology or it's a new workout plan or a new nutritional supplement or a new energetic medicine therapy, you have to be forgiving, yet consistency is key. Consistency over time is what changes. In one of our videos, I think it was when we introduced the cell, it was part of the first 3, I know we talked about. So your cells are continuously replacing themselves. And so what type of environment are you? I'm talking mental, psychological, social.
And it's like the environment
physical.
that you've created for so long. Because if you've done something for 5, 7, 10, 20 years, and it's been that same routine, your cells, are recreating new ones, but it's recreating a shitty memory.
Mm-hmm. And so Sage,
Yeah.
but my point is to be patient and
Yeah.
to be give yourself grace, give yourself the realistic expectations that shift doesn't happen. Sometimes it does overnight. Sometimes it does with
And you
one
can get, that's
type
what
of
where
therapy.
you can have the excitement come in. But I really despise that. And because even with myself right now, like I have a broken ulna and I'm a very active go-getting person. And yesterday I was like, maybe I can try putting the splint on. So I put a splint on and I think I kind of reset it off a little bit. And it's like, you gotta go with grace. You gotta go with love and know it's only been 10 days. I know I heal fast. I'm on really good products right now, and I was lifting things and I was able to move my hands, so I thought I was healing a little faster than what I could. Don't jump the gun. Trust in yourself and know that it's baby steps. You have to imprint a new program. And like when things fall off and, oh, it didn't happen for me right away. I still didn't sleep as good the first night I had the Pure Wave cell. And that's where I'm gonna go into a little story, because I had this really interesting client have this funny situation with the cell. But like things don't happen overnight, and if they do, get excited about it and be honored and like really own that. But it doesn't happen for the majority of us. We have to slowly change the program which started it in the first place, and then we create a new program. And so we got to rewire that subconscious. And I totally agree with you, Jake. But I wanted to say this. I had this client, she got the cell, and she is a high anxiety person, pretty anxious. She put it under her pillow before she went to bed, and she said her body was like on fire, itching right before she went to bed. And so she hopped in the shower, took a shower for like 10 minutes, lied back in bed, and it was still slightly itchy, but she slept better that night than she has in years. She slept for 8 hours straight. Wow. But I think like her anxiety is like her body has never felt it actually be in a parasympathetic state. So I think in my mind, when the magnet was under her pillow, it was even like energizing her to kind of bring herself back down, but she didn't even know what it felt like to be in her body. So she was like on fire everywhere. But then she had a very beautiful, blissful sleep.
Well, and
great. Great story. Like we get these stories, but one that I got was interesting. And I got it from two different people. Was people that suffer, because it's nothing I've been exposed to, that have like nightmares every night and dreams that are weird and stuff. And two different people. One was a 45-year-old guy, and one was a 10-year-old boy. And by putting it under is that those nightmares went away, from those dreams and stuff. So I'd never even heard of that. I never even thought of that, right? So that was another whole thing that was a pretty unique story back as we get these stories, right? So that was, and that would be something I would have never thought to even think of that would happen. And these are
like little minimal things that like you should be testing out the magnet. It's so beneficial for like aches and pains, the negative pathogens within your food, cleaning up dirty frequency. But you have no idea how far it can go. We just don't know.
No, it's a good question. And you brought something up, Sage, and this is a whole new realm of research and feedback that we need to start exploring more, is we know the subconscious and superconscious really are directing so much of our lives. That you mentioned it, Sage, brilliantly with these programs, these past programs that guide us in our daily reality and the decisions we make. But like you said, Brent, the nightmares or the different mental, psychological components, I feel from those testimonies that you guys shared, it does help. And even the experience my son has had in the chrysalis geodesic sphere and beyond. And we actually have a new affiliate partner who is an anxiety coach, wrote a book for anxiety, who loves it. There's this unconscious connection that it speaks to, helping allow, and then the whole sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system elements. I'm so excited about the future of the research that this does beyond just I call it the physical, like you said, the pathogens, things. We know that benefit and the value there, but that subtle unconscious.
But like, how's it going to help with neurological conditions, anxiety disorders, eating disorders, like things like some people just like get into like a weird state in themselves and they get caught in that program and it becomes a disease. It becomes a lifestyle for who they are. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go. And like, I deal with 20, 25 different clients every single week. So I am excited to hear from more of the experiences, like even for myself. And I want to test it a little bit more now because the first 2 days after I broke my arm, I've been taking the ionic calcium, which helps draw the calcium back into the bone and pull the bones back together. So it aches a lot more at night. I don't take any painkillers or none of that. But I was placing the magnet underneath my arm and it like increases the pain even more. So I think it's like trying to pull what's separated back together even more, but it's actually like tough to have for a elongated period of time there.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, again, the magnet moves iron, it moves blood flow in the body. So, and as you know, a sprained ankle or broken bone with more blood to the area, obviously the pressure on the nerves and the pain.
Yeah, like
so,
it's good for like an hour, 2 hours. After about 2 hours, like I need to remove the magnet for a bit.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, because we already know now that other people are doing tests with the PEMF mats, and then they're putting the magnets equally on top, and it's magnifying the healing process, speeding it up. Yeah, so that's something we do know is going on, and we're doing a lot more feedback with that. So we'll feed that to you when that's concluded, but that's happening all the time, right? So
yeah,
interesting.
Mm-hmm. Something on the theme of be brave. You know, we all know the acronym for fear, right? The false evidence appearing real, false evidence appearing real. That's what gets a lot of people into this unbalanced state. Now more than ever, from politics to the fear of global catastrophe and war, to all of the polarity and the dualistic energy out there, the good, something's good or evil, or the mechanism, either you have this label or you have, oh, I'm sorry, you have 3 weeks to live because that's all we have in our wheel. But all of that fear, the cell helps remind me. I'll speak from my own perspective. It actually reminds me, this is separate from the physical pathogen neutralization and all the things we're talking about today. But it gives and it reminds me, it grounds me and brings this unconscious fear that's driving so many of us, myself included. And it reminds me that I actually have an active role in how and what I manifest. Just like the chrysalis geodesic sphere Brent talked about, himself, myself, we go and we manifest what it is we were called to do, or we had a question that we just didn't have an answer to. And I believe that our bodies have an innate intelligence by the Creator to heal and to repair and to overcome the stress of life, whether that's a disease, illness, or toxin, pathogen. Yet, if we're able to cut through the stuff, all the chaos around us, we are truly able to assist the best way possible. And that's when all the good nutrition, the good relationship, the good community, that's able to be absorbed. Because, again, for many of you out there, you might have started a great program of any kind, whether it's health or fitness or mindset. Yet, if you go back and you allow the past programming to seep in and take over, you're kind of on a loop and you're not breaking free. You have to have these instruments and these systems to break out of that. And that's where the PureWave cell can benefit, is to be a supportive instrument that can be part of your family's life to do just that, from the physical, mental, psychological, spiritual, even connect you to the source and creator. That's my take on it. And Sage, any questions out there with Braveheart Nation that they have for us? Please, we're coming up to the top of the hour. I want to honor everyone's time. We only have two main questions coming in right now. One of them is, could you build a house like the Crystalline Dome? Ooh. I mean, you could. Brent, I'll let you take that.
Well, yeah, no,
You dropped a
definitely.
lot. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you definitely can. I mean, it would be depending on how much you wanted to like set space, because it's unique inside in the way of how you would live in there. More people do that with dome homes and things like that. They build a dome because it's more conducive for inside construction of how you do your rooms. That sphere, the sphere is different. It was set up for a pure environment. But the answer is, with some accompaniments, you could definitely do a home or do a section where you know where you want to have that space to go to. So yeah, but you definitely can. It's just a matter of really focusing on how you want to set your life up. Also, I think the key would be is where you build it too. I would start there, is where you're building that house, what you're building it on, because that was built on a really based ley lines that were set for the DC current up. Next time we'll show you what it looked like underneath. There's a DC pole coming up and for good energy and so forth. But yeah, you can do it. You could do it. It would be a little bit more expensive than the average home, and you'd need to have some space. But yeah, to answer your question, for sure you could.
That'd be neat. The next question is there a maximum time that you need to let types of foods sit on the PureWave cell?
So 5 minutes is the research we did. So that's our recommendation based on the lab report and the study we did that got those results, is 5 minutes. So I know in a busy kitchen or in food preparation, or even if you're stopping for a meal at a restaurant, it may not be the ideal. I look at it like this, and I don't know if I've told you this, but what it does is, my dad, who was a natural health professional all his career, just like you, Sage, right? I grew up like this. My dad had a clinic in Colorado for, 35, 40 years. He always said, Jake, when you sit down to eat, speaking of digestive health and nutrition and assimilation of the food, really be conscious and slow down. Part, I think, of the lack of nutrition being absorbed by the body is we eat so fast. So with that 5 minutes, it can act as a nice support system for you to slow down, become present, and enjoy and have a more pure food source. But no, 5 minutes is the answer. Brent, anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, and any longer put on, and something that you thought was like some fish that you weren't sure of or anything. Yeah, you leave it on longer. There's no problem. But what we wanted to do is kind of get a minimum time. Like that you could come home, and what would be a time frame that fits. That would be, and that's where we came up with that. But the longer that you leave food on it only is going to be better, right? So I would say it as that. Put it on as long as you like, but you don't need to do it much longer than that if you're working in a busy kitchen, and as Jake said. So that's about it. And just really, I'm hoping that the people that are watching this are really now starting to get more of an insight into why that PureWave cell and what went into it that's really helping them. I always, my feeling is that I'm in a spacesuit. We're all living in a spacesuit, right? So is that when you throw me into the arena, if you can give me some, if you can give me some equipment or protection, that's good for me, right? And that's what I want to do for all of you, is just give you some protection out there, because we're all moving through in this spacesuit and working with it. And, we just wanted to come up with some extra protections and a few other things, and working naturally the way it works, and getting away from chemistry and getting more into physics, right? Because we're in, all our drugs are in chemistry, right? And we all know that there's lots of problems there, right? So I'll just leave it at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to go run through what we're going over next week?
Yeah, Jake, we were talking about that. We next week we'd like to get into maybe a little bit furthermore into some of the things that the Chrysalis E and the honey have been doing, and some feedback on that. And then we really want to start to develop and start to show we're doing some major stuff with, as we mentioned, with the PEMF mats and sort of escalated healing. We want to talk a bit about that next week. And then we want to get into the animals. So we want to take a break and then get back into what's going on with the animals out there, which we need a little bit of time to be able to show that to you. So that's kind of where we're going, over the next little bit.
And next week, though, what we want to do too is we want to share a little bit about, just know that every Pure Wave honey and cell you purchase goes to helping support the mission. And we'll show some highlights of what that does and how we help the beekeepers help the bees and the pollinators. And so we'll show some glimpse of some recent activities we've been doing. And I just want to encourage you all to stay diligent. We understand that an investment in your health sometimes takes time, and the timing makes sense. Know that the cell is a lifelong product. There's a 20-year guarantee on these cells, and actually a lifelong guarantee of the strength of the magnet. It's a generational instrument that it can be passed along generationally. And it's just something that we encourage everyone to consider and really involve and include in their life. Because I always like to use it. Our homes and our bodies, we're just busy bees. We're just busy bees. And we have our hives that we want maintained, just like the bees, just like go back in the previous episode. We want your hives healthy. Healthy hives produce amazing results, amazing sweet honey and growth. And that's what we want in your life. So with that said, nothing more on this end. Sage, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, everybody. So thank you for joining. I really appreciate it, Bravehearts. I definitely recommend, if you were just chiming on today for your first time, go back into the Doc of Detox library, into Be Brave, and check out our previous videos. As they said, next week we'll be kind of wrapping up this 8-part series, and then we'll be getting ready to go over and indulging how this can be beneficial for the animals. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening, wherever you are. Dr. Wolf will be lecturing in Toronto, Ontario on June 23rd. That is going to be a day with the doc. And the venue is at Monte Casino Hotel. Space is limited. You can call Magdalena at 416-669-9351 or go to braveheartnation.com to reserve your spot. It's usually pretty full, so if you want to go check that out, please do so. We got some courses coming up, everybody. So I will be flying to Stuart, Florida. We are finishing off the American, pretty much, trainings of this year for the New World Practitioner training. So Dr. Wolf will be doing the Whole Life Coach. Then I will be doing the Wolf Non-Surgical. That deals with everything from head to toe, all different ailments from scoliosis, carpal tunnel syndrome, fibromyalgia. It does not matter, guys. It is a scar tissue issue, so we want to get into those tissues and pull it apart lovingly and restore that body back to its original state. From then on, I'll be coming back to Ixtapa, Mexico to do some personalized treatment and trainings at the DoD 5-Star World Healing and Training Retreat. Then from then on, we'll be in Coffs Harbour, Australia to do the New World Practitioner training. There's going to be a lot of lectures all around Australia. So if you want to check in on Dr. Wolf or myself doing those lectures, if you're interested in learning about nutrition, about lifestyle, about your emotional state, or the physical Wolf Non-Surgical, check us out at braveheartnation.com. And then we are wrapping up in Ixtapa, Mexico in October. So once again, you can always go to braveheartnation.com to check into that. But you guys, once again, be brave. Have a beautiful day.
Be brave, everybody.
We will catch you in the next one. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Be brave.